After another dominant performance from Bentley Glazer last week at the Kansas Speedway, we come down south to the Jewel of the South and Atlanta Motor Speedway here for round 3 of this Western States Racing League's 44th season, the Spring 2021 series. Hello, everybody. My name is Frank Marchese. Thank you very much for making us a part of your evening. And alongside me in the booth tonight, my broadcast partner, Nate Siefker. And Nate, you're making quite a home for yourself here in the broadcast booth. Well, glad to have you aboard tonight.
Yeah, it's fun to be here. These guys, I saw the race last week, even though I didn't get a chance to broadcast it here on ESPN. And these guys put on a great show. I'm really pleased to be able to call this race tonight and to see what these guys are able to do up here in the booth.
Yeah, these guys have done a fantastic job all season long. Well, last season, the entire season, we broadcast the first race that I was at with Dover, and I believe we might have a slight issue here. We're gonna have to go to have to black out for just 1 second here, so bear with us as we make one little change here. But Nate, tonight's certainly going to be a fun night here as we get going. About to start qualifying here. We're about a minute or so away from the qualifying session here. Again, I do apologize. We are going to have to step away from the race for just 1 second. But Nate, this is a very difficult racetrack, a track that you really have to know well, especially if you want to try to save tires here, which is going to be absolutely paramount here tonight.
Yeah, the track surface here is about 25 years old. iRacing, it's a little bit newer than that, thankfully. But yeah, it's super bumpy. You have to know the bumps. There's multiple lanes you can run here in Atlanta. You can run all the way at the top. You can run the bottom. So there's plenty of different variations that these guys will be able to run tonight to get by people and to defend as well. So tonight is really going to be about who can manage the bumps, who can really place their truck in the right spots to stay in front of people and to pass as well.
It's certainly in 117 laps here. That kind of puts you at an oddball spot for strategy. You think you can go maybe 30 to 35 laps here. That really leaves you with the thought of, if you want, you could try to push it a little bit earlier on. But your tires, if this race goes green all the way, that leaves you in quite a precarious spot when it comes to later in the race.
Absolutely. And the thing with it being an odd number like that, 117, most of these guys have to do a lot of their stuff in their head. And 117 is not an easy number to divide by at all. I don't even think I think it might even be a prime number. That's how hard it is to divide it. So it's really difficult for these drivers to understand maybe how they can do their strategies. They're going to have to vary it off a little bit to try to make the best possible strategy for them at the end. Is it best to go early and just go flat out right away, or is it best to just conserve their tires, how Atlanta really eats them up?
Yep, certainly. And we are into the qualifying session now. Hello, everybody. That is the driver of the number 16 truck. That is, now Earl Weaver, currently on your screens right now in the number 46. Looking very nice here tonight is Earl Weaver. We'll get the timing pylon. We'll get the timing ticker up here right now as we get set to look and see who is going to get the best of this 10-minute qualifying session. We have a lot of guys on track, including this man right here, Marty Ray, who goes quickest. And now Marty Ray got wrecked early on at Dover, had issues last week at Kansas as well. This is a guy who finished in the top 5 in points last season. He is really looking for a bounce-back race here tonight.
Yeah, the most really strong championship runs, they have one or two really not so good races at the beginning that you think might set the tone for their season, but really all it does is just give them motivation to hit that end of the season harder and to go for it. So right at the moment, seeing Marty Ray at the top timesheets with a 30.715 isn't at all surprising at the moment.
Dennis Fuson on his first lap was able to just come up behind that at a 30.7. 1:30. I get so used to calling out the 1 minutes with the 2.4 hour race on Sunday. As here comes the driver of the number 11 Fuson. Now he was the one that won the battle for third place in the championship last season. And for Fuson, that will put him into the second spot. It supplants Marty Ray. However, the man who has won the first two races of the season, looking to make it 3, Bentley Glazer, puts it on pole at a 30.67. Wow.
Yeah, he's been strong. We watched a little bit of this practice session beforehand, and he was on top of the timesheets then. So seeing him on top here isn't very surprising as well. He's about a tenth slower than what he did in practice, but that's pretty typical. You don't have a draft lap in qualifying. So I'm not at all surprised at that lap. I think he's probably the guy to beat at the moment. Bentley is currently gliding like a Bentley.
Yep, there it is.
I told you I'd do it. I told you I would.
You did. You did prepare me for it, so I can't say it was a surprise. There is your reigning defending champion, Brian Barnes, putting in a time that sits him in 8th quickest. On track right now, you're seeing Carl Burke about to complete his first flying lap here in that VSM Chevy Silverado. First time down for Carl Burke. Good enough for the 13th position, a 30.93 that ties him with Mark McFadden, looking for a better run this lap.
Yeah, and these guys are, they're really fast as well. They do a lot of stock car stuff on top of their IndyCar stuff as well that they do. So I'm expecting them to do really well tonight, especially with the way Atlanta is with the bumps and the adjustments to your lines that you have to make. So I'm looking forward to seeing how a lot of these IndyCar drivers that typically run them, how they do, as Carl goes up to 4th place.
That is 4th place, a 30.76 for Carl Burke. Here's the number 14 of Bob Beltrami, about to complete his second lap. And Beltrami goes from 10th up to 2nd quickest for Bob Beltrami. Misses by 0.02 of a second off of Bentley Glazer. So Beltrami, who finished 4th last week at Kansas, putting in a good lap. And as we had mentioned when we were watching Marty Ray, this is another guy, Jeff Schmeier, who had a bad run at Dover, had a bad run at Kansas. This is a guy who also really needs to have a good performance here tonight.
Yeah, and I think it's the exact same scenario. He's had a couple of tough races here at the end of the season. And you look, if you have 1 or 2 bad races, you look at that 3rd to 4th race and you highlight it and you say, I have to do good here. Because that can just turn your season around with just a strong run here. As Jeff Schmeier, he's coming up to the line. If he gets to the top 10, he's got something to work with here.
Let's see, Schmeier was 23rd on his first lap, 5th on his second. So there's your starting spot for Jeff Schmeier, driver of the number 32. Take a look at Keith Kelman here. So far the slowest of the drivers to have taken time. He's about to finish his second lap. Kelman moves himself up to the 25th position. So a solid run for him. Looking through drivers here is Wayne Fleet in the number 6. Fleet trying to complete his second lap, 30th on the timing pylon right now. We do have 2 heavy hitters on track right now. Really the last 2 heavy hitters on track right now. It's Timothy Bates in the number 24 as Wayne Fleet goes up to 28th position. Here is Timothy Bates coming through turn 2 on his second lap, and also Lucas McNeil, who just started his first lap on track now.
And the track has gotten cooler. I've noticed that it started out 95 in this session. It's down to 91. So the times are going to continue to tumble here as we see the last of these runners complete their laps.
Here's Timothy Bates crossing the line, goes from 32nd up to 20th, does the driver of the 24. There's Lucas McNeil completing his first lap, puts himself 17th quick, and a beautiful RC Cola machine there for Lucas McNeil. But that's another one that you have to worry about is the track temperature. That could really play havoc on a surface this old as far as how much grip you have.
Yeah, and I noticed that these guys are running the maximum usage of 100% in the race. It's not at the moment up to 100 yet, but that'll make a huge difference because the rubbered in portion is going to be black, and that's going to make the track temperature hotter in those areas. So throughout the race, we're going to see lots of people trying to hunt for the coolest track temperature possible for sure.
And with that, that is Lucas McNeil up to 9th position on the timing pylon. Nobody on track right now that is in the process of setting times. Only 2 drivers have not set times yet. That's Javier Torres and Mark Redeker are the only 2 drivers to have not set times yet. Right now, Kevin Thrift, who you see here in the 66 Valvoline car, looking to take just a little bit more practice here as we hit down a minute 45 left, practicing pit entry, which around here, not that bad an idea.
That's a really smart idea, actually, to be practicing that, because green flag pit stops, I think, here at Atlanta is probably more common than any other track. So for him to be smart enough to actually practice it and knowing that that's a realistic possibility in this race is very smart from Kevin. He'll have the advantage when it comes time to green flag pit stops, and the fact that he'll know when to brake while others will not.
Certainly going to be a major help for him as we're down to a minute and 10 seconds left here in this qualifying session. Right now, if Torres and Redeker came out right now, they'd only get 1 timed lap in. So right now,
I don't even think they get a lap in if they could.
Yeah, it's not looking like it. As right now, the man who has dominated this season so far is right back at it again, Bentley Glazer. Now, this is a little bit different what we've seen for Bentley this year. Last year, he was more content to not qualify. We thought when he did qualify at Dover, we thought it was just get out of the pack because we had 36 cars at Dover. Last week again at Kansas, another big field, qualified second, and now sits on the pole again here in front of 36 other cars.
And he's probably thinking the same thing too there. I mean, he doesn't want to be marred in the back of the pack with everybody else. So he's just playing it smart, going out and setting a qualifying lap that he knows he's capable of. And if it puts him P1 or P2, so be it for him. I mean, it's not a disadvantage to be on the front row of the grid, so why not do it? And I see where Bentley's coming from with that.
Yeah, certainly not that bad an option as we go now to the grid here for tonight's race, round 3 at Atlanta Motor Speedway. It's Bentley Glazer and Bob Beltrami making up row number 1. Row 2 will go to Dennis Fuson and Marty Ray. Row 3 to Jeff Schmeier and Carl Burke. Kyle McCartney and Charles Woods make up row 4. Lucas McNeil and Thomas Mole round out the top 10 and row 5. Jeff Hollingsworth, who had a very good run at Kansas last week, led 24 laps at Kansas, and Ron Hollifield will make up row number 6. Row 7 will go to Christopher Cowgill and Ryan Steele, who has finished second in both races this season. Kevin Thrift and Dustin Webb make up row 8. Nate?
Brian Barnes is going to roll off in the 17th position alongside Earl Weaver to close out row number 8. No, row number 9. I got my numbers wrong there. Mark McFadden, he'll roll off in the 19th position alongside of Paul Hoffman, round out the top 20. Timothy Bates, he'll start 21st tonight alongside David Wood in the 22nd position. Dan Stuzzi, he's going to come off 23rd alongside of Wayne Hutchinson. Barry Phil is going to roll off the grid in 25th position alongside Adrian Moore. Jeffrey Schultz is going to come off the line in 27th alongside of Keith Hillman in the 20th position. Raphael Reynolds is going to roll off the grid in the 29th position, and Wayne Fleet will close out the 30th position. Gary LaViolette is going to roll off 31st alongside Dustin Burns. Eric Woods is going to roll off in 33rd position. David Weaver closes in 34th position. James Campbell will roll out the grid in 35th position, and Mark Redeker and Javier Torres are the two that did not take a time in the qualifying session.
Yeah, and those guys will start 36th and 37th here tonight as you see the field now starting to roll off behind our grid graphic that needs to go away. There it goes. And again, you can't really overstate how important tire wear and just playing defense with these tires can really make or break your race here tonight. And for guys that we see have great long run cars, Bentley Glazer typically has a great long run car. Same thing with Jeff Hollingsworth. These are guys that we're going to be seeing up at the front all race long.
And the people that take care of their tires the best, like you said, will be at the front of the race all night. But maybe some of those guys that are back in the 15th to 25th to 25th position, maybe they can get through a couple incidents, work their way forward, and learn from the guys ahead of them, and maybe they can be there at the end of this race.
And we certainly hope so as we get set for the third round of Season 44 for the Western States Racing League's Tuesday night truck series. It will be Bentley Glazer and Bob Beltrami leading them down. The pace truck makes the hard left turn onto pit road. Glazer sets the pace. Flagman waving the green flag. We are underway here at Atlanta.
That's a very strong start for Bentley. He just jumped out there to like a 4 truck length lead, and it looks like he's just going to check away at this point.
Yeah, that's kind of been his MO when he's been able to get out there. It's everyone else that needs to catch him back there, as that is Bentley Glazer, Dennis Fuson and Jeff Schmeier right now battling for that second spot, and there goes Fuson around. Watch it, saves it. For the moment, at least, Carl Burke with front end damage might have caught the back end of him. And we stay green. Big save from Dennis Fuson.
Incredible work by Dennis Fuson to just not loop it there. Carl Burke did hit him pretty significantly, and he's got quite a bit of front end damage. He's going to drop here. It's just a matter of how much that's going to damage him here in this first stint.
And that's just nowhere to go for Carl Burke. Ran right into the back of him. There was another car there that had gone off behind, as now it is a three-car breakaway up at the front. Bentley Glazer, Jeff Schmeier, and Kyle McCartney were the guys that were able to make it through that turn one incident. Bob Beltrami leading this quote-unquote second group, and Dennis Fuson, that rear end damage not really hurting Fuson, but Carl Burke has fallen all the way back to the 10th position.
I think as this run goes on, Dennis is going to have more rear end and grip issues, because it does look like it did mess up the rear bumper area, and it will affect the overall downforce on the rear of the car. So he's going to be the guy to watch about 15 to 20 laps from now, see how he does. He might not be anywhere close to these guys in terms of pace, but it'll be interesting to see as we watch this run go through how he does.
Yeah, we're seeing the back end of that number 11 of Dennis Fuson, who started in second position, mind you, at the beginning of this race, has fallen down to the 9th position. Ryan Steele has worked his way up right now. Here he is in that black number 12 on the outside. There he goes. Into the 10th position right now, passing Carl Burke. And Steele, we had talked about it during prior to the race beginning. It takes some talent and it takes some unfortunate luck to finish second in the first 2 races of the year.
Yeah, that's no fun to come second at all. And then when you come second to the guy that won both races, that just rubs the salt in there. So if anybody does not want to come second tonight, I think it's Ryan.
Ryan Steele, you see him now working on that outside of that damaged number 11 of Dennis Fuson as we ride on board with him. Jump back out. There goes the 12. And right behind him is Ron Hollifield in that number 7. Looking beautiful, that Steve Park inspired Pennzoil machine. Trying to get Fuson now for the 10th position.
And notice how throughout this entire pack, really, or throughout the entire field, there's lots of different groups as Fuson goes all the way to the apron there.
It might have lost the back end just a little bit. Up at the front of this group, however, is the 51 of Lucas McNeil, who has gotten around Bob Beltrami. And that RC Cola number 51 Chevrolet looking really strong here as we complete lap 7, working on lap 8 now of 117. Bentley Glazer still out in front. There's a 2-second gap between the pack you're seeing right now and the leaders, as I believe that's Earl Weaver coming back on track.
And I noticed this during the qualifying session. Not a whole lot of people know what slip angle is in any race cars. That's a casual viewer. And I noticed how well Lucas was doing on his lap. It looked really hooked up. So whatever he's doing in the corners looks by far one of the best of the bunch. He's getting the nose planted in. He's letting the rear step out just enough to get the car rotator on the corner. So I think if anyone should be leading this pack to catch the top 3, I think it's Lucas at the moment.
Right now, unfortunately for Lucas McNeil, he was only, of the 3 leaders ahead of him, he would have been 3rd in that pack. The only one he was quicker than was Jeff Schmeier, who currently tails that pack. Wow. Whew. You look at the timing sheet for the last lap, 2nd through 7th all ran 30.15s, as I believe that's Barry Phil now coming down off of pit road. So these guys are very close time-wise. However, Bentley Glazer able to start running away, ran a 30.87 that last lap, but Kyle McCartney is right on his tail.
And that shows you how well these guys have learned with this tire model, with this truck, how to get the tires broken, when to push the tires. And being that consistent throughout the field, that just shows you how well everyone's done learning the tire model, especially with these trucks.
Everyone's dropped off about 2/10 from the lap prior, except for Bentley Glazer. We mentioned running a 30.87, ran a 31.35 this last lap, coming to the line here. There you see, that is the gap between 1st and 3rd position, and Bentley Glazer so far the slowest of the top 3. May have been an issue of pushing a little too hard, a little too soon.
Yeah, he might be. I'm not sure exactly how hard he's trying to push the car, but really, at this point in the race, you really don't need to even really try that hard to push it, as Bentley is having some connection issues by the appearance of it.
This is par for the course for Bentley Glazer, unfortunately. Was leading several races last season before having throughput, so like I said, unfortunately for him, it is rather par for the course as far as connection issues go. Back to the second group, it is still Lucas McNeil leading it as Thomas Mole catches that outside wall coming out of turn 2. He's caught that thing multiple times. He's got a lot of damage on the right side of that number 81 Jegs machine.
And it is pretty easy to hit the walls here, because it really, turn 2, you think you have all the grip in the world, and then you realize the wall is coming up way quicker than it should be, and then you're in the wall. So I'm not surprised that people have hit the wall so far. I'm just kind of surprised by how early in the run he's hit it.
Yeah, that's just a show of pushing a little too hard on corner exit. And if you read the race info during the introduction there, this is a track where you really need to, we've noted keep the tires on it, but keep it out of the wall, because this is one of those places where damage, especially to that right side, seems to affect you a little bit more than it would at other places.
And that's just because the average speed's so high here. I mean, they're barely getting below 165 in the corners, and they're going to get up to about 180 at the end of the straightaway, roughly. So your average speed is so consistent and it's so high throughout the run that you really need every single bit of aero balance and aero performance out of the truck as possible. If you add that little bit of damage, you're losing that aerodynamic performance, you're adding drag, and you're just slowing yourself down, especially when there's so little off or non-throttle time.
There is Thomas Mull getting passed out by Jeff Hollingsworth in the number 97. Charles Woods is the next driver behind him to get passed, and a little bit of a glimpse into Thomas Mull's future. That first lap incident with Dennis Fuson and Carl Burke. Dennis Fuson has fallen back. Here he is in the 15th position. Is that number 11, and now a little bit even further back, here is Carl Burke running that outside lane, about to lose the 21st position to Wayne Fleet. So that just goes to show any amount of damage here is really going to hurt you.
Yeah, and that's definitely not due to talent. That's all due to damage performance. You can just write that up to a T. So that just, if anyone needed a lesson on how important it was to take care of your truck, this is it right here.
Yep, and again, that's right now, that is, I believe that was Adrian Moore. It was getting around Carl Burke. And Adrian Moore, this is not something he would be too concerned about. Adrian Moore starting back in the 26th position here tonight. Moore started in the 20th position, ended up in the 3rd position at the end of the night last week at Kansas. And I believe also had a solid finish in the iRacing East Super Speedway Series last Friday night in their season opener. So Adrian Moore, I don't think he's too concerned about this this early slow start here.
I think he was almost pretty concerned with how loose he was and how he almost did what Carl did there for a second. So, yeah, I think if he's one of those guys that just wants to just kind of ride and wait till the end of the race to start making his moves. So, at the moment, he's looking pretty good. It sounds like he's done the thing a time or two before. And if he can just kind of keep that truck underneath it from there, I think he'll do just fine.
I think what I saw there was the slightest hint of right rear damage on the back end of that 18. So he has smacked the wall somewhere on this racetrack. My assumption would be turn 2. Back up at the front, it has spread out a little bit. Bentley Glazer is still in the race lead. However, Jeff Schmeier has supplanted Kyle McCartney in that 2nd position. McCartney now starting to fall back into the clutches of this man, the driver of the 51, Lucas McNeil, who is starting to get away from that 2nd pack that he was in.
Yeah, he's doing exactly what I said he was doing in qualifying. He's doing a really good job of hitting that ape. Wow.
Yeah, that was a little.
As like Lucas and Bob both got really loose there. So I was about to say they're moving almost too fast, and look at that. They do go a little too fast for their comfort.
You were talking about slip angle. I think that was a little too much slip angle for almost anyone there, as he had to make a nice little catch. Did the 51 of Lucas McNeil. Bob Beltrami, you see behind him. But as we had mentioned during qualifying, the 2 guys, Jeff Schmeier and this man back here in the 65, Marty Ray, really needed good runs after getting off to very slow starts to begin this season. This is exactly what the doctor ordered here.
Was that a RC Cola joke there?
No.
I could have swore there was a RC Cola joke in there.
No, that was not. That was absolutely not an RC Cola joke.
Anyway, yeah, I think this race is going to turn out to be kind of one of those races of the people in this backpack from about 5th to 12th. Whoever does the best job of controlling their tires here, I think is going to come out and probably end up in the 5th position here at the end of this green flag run, just because of how well and how important it is to take care of your tires.
Now, I have embellished a little bit, I will say, as Christopher Cowgill comes into pit road, which is intriguing for Cowgill, who had started up in the 13th position, I believe it was. As Cowgill, see him stopped there in the box. Jeff Schmeier now actually starting to make up room, but as I was saying, I have embellished a little bit how bad the start of the season has been for Schmeier. Schmeier did finish in the 5th position back at Dover. However, Marty Ray finished in the 26th position back at Dover. Ray followed that up with a 23rd place finish last week at Kansas and a 28th place finish for Jeff Schmeier. And now here comes Schmeier looking for the race lead on Bentley Glazer on lap 25. And he's got it.
Easy does it. That was pretty clinical, too. The bottom lane has appeared to start to become the lane to be in. which is surprising because usually at Atlanta, the top ends up being the lane you want to eventually move towards as the run goes on. So these guys obviously know their equipment better than we do up here in the booth. They are out there doing their thing. We're up here doing our thing. And at the moment, they're putting on a show.
That was Brian Barnes you saw riding the wall coming through turn 2. Sorry to cut you off there. But that is the reigning defending 3-time champion, Brian Barnes, in a little bit of trouble there, as this pack here for about 5th on back has really gotten racy.
A little bit of trouble, but a lot of bit of damage that's going to hurt him as this run goes on. And I think the people that have this damage, they might consider pitting a little earlier than what they would, just to maybe help out with the tires that they're going to end up having strapped onto the truck. So it'll be interesting to see as this run goes on, the people with damage, how they react and what they do to help themselves.
This is the battle for 5th here between Marty Ray, Jeff Hollingsworth, Bob Beltrami, Ron Holifield. Ryan Steele is at the very back of that group, as Holifield now is going to get that inside on Bob Beltrami, and Beltrami is going to go from 5th to 8th position in a matter of, 2 laps?
And he was at the front of this pack, remember, at the beginning of this run. He's probably one of the cases that he just used his tires up maybe a little too much as he just steps the rear out just a little bit there. So if this is a great learning experience, though, for all these guys, they know what they need to improve on here if we get a green flag pit stop, what they did wrong in this first stint and how they can improve. So we should see the racing be a little closer in terms of overall performance here in the second stint, since they'll learn what they need to do even better.
Dan Stussy entering pit road now as we speak. There's Marty Ray going up to the outside as Jeff Hollingsworth takes position on him. He's now coming under fire from Holifield in the number 7. So Marty Ray looks as though he is going to fall to the back of this line. And we talk about it so much here on ESPN that when you are leading, you don't have that reference in front of you to see how much you're using and abusing those tires, and some guys just overdo it and can't get the feel for it.
Absolutely, and I mean that may have been the case with Bentley there. He used his tires because he had no reference in front of him, like you just said. He used his tires how he thought he needed to. Turns out maybe it just wasn't enough. That's why Jeff got by him. And I've noticed here, there's a couple people that have worked their way through these packs. Jeff has been one of them. He's done a really good job, as well as Ron. And Ryan Steele, he was doing an excellent job until he kind of got marred back. So some of these guys that have moved forward through this pack efficiently, like Jeff and Ron and formerly Ryan, and especially Lucas, who's almost catching this front 3, they're going to be guys that at the end of this race are going to be really strong.
Yeah, they certainly have shown the pace that they have needed to show all race long. Here as we look at the 51 of Lucas McNeil, running about a couple of tenths off, at least last lap he was, of the drivers ahead of him. Kyle McCartney still at the back end of the front trio. Jeff Schmeier has opened up about a half a second lead now over the 87 of Bentley Glazer. So your top 3 as it sits right now, Schmeier, Glazer, McCartney, McNeil, and Hollingsworth round out the top 5, and it is this battle here at the back end of the top 5 that has the attention on it right now, as this has been the closest battle, but it looks as though Holifield and Hollingsworth are starting to pull it out a little bit.
They're doing a really good job. They've done everything they need to work through the pack. They've been efficient. They've done taking care of the tires, and at the moment they're setting themselves up for success. They've done a really strong job this first stint. Usually you can only improve on the work you did in that first stint, so knowing that information, I think those guys are going to be especially strong here towards the end of this race.
Only 2 drivers that we can see right now are no longer running. That would be the 86 of Gary Laviolette and the 111 of Dustin Webb. It looks like Webb did not take the grid to start the race, so Gary Laviolette right now is the only driver that we would consider out of this race, Earl Weaver being the last driver running right now. But of the drivers that have worked their way up through the field, the one who's done it the best right now is this number 6 of Wayne Fleet, up 16 positions from his starting spot of 30th. He's up to 14th.
He's done an incredible work so far. I was actually about to say something about how far he moved up through the field. Actually, for the most part, there's kind of group he's in with Bates and Hutchinson. Hutchinson's moved up 12 positions. Bates has moved up 8. So this group of 3 that's right here, they've done an incredible job moving forward and being efficient with their work so far.
Another guy who has moved up quite a bit here is this 023 Superflow Toyota. That is Jeffrey Schloss. Right now, he has moved up 10 positions as it sits right now up into, I'll make it 11 now, as I think Schmeier, has Schmeier had an issue? I'm seeing him falling down the timing pylon. Oh, no, there he is. No, he's still fine. Boy, SDK.
I'm about to say, I didn't see him either there for a second.
Yeah, SDK tends to scare you a little bit when you're falling through the when you're looking a little bit further back through the field. We saw that in spades at the Daytona 2.4 on Sunday night, which, by the way, if you want to check out that replay, that is up on our YouTube channel. I believe you can also see it on Facebook as well. Our first night with the Majors Series, Nate and I were on that call and were treated to one heck of a race.
Yeah, that was a fun night to call. A little long, but 4 hours is a lot of time to do without a break. But the drivers had to do it, and that was a lot harder for them to do it. So I can't say a whole lot, especially when you're going to do. Oh, Dennis Fuson just got the wall hard.
Looking back, there he is. Oh, and he's still trying to get himself clear, as there is Fuson in that number 11. He's got to think he's not going to go to pit road here, as I think green flag stops are going to start to cycle here. As boy, that was, we'll take a look and see what happened with Dennis Fuson. You see when he starts losing positions here on our sheet, on my sheet here. This might have been it right here, right before this.
When you're done with that, McNeil just spun in there, entering the pit lane.
Okay, that takes a little bit more precedent right now. As green flag stops are cycling through. As boy, you see Thomas Mole slide right in. Still
this is a awful pit stop for McNeil. He hasn't hit his box yet.
There he goes. He just finally stopped. You see Brian Barnes in there as well. Jeff Hollingsworth has been in. Let's take a look at McNeil's pit entry. Oh, there's him backing up to get into his box. And finally does get in.
And I think he has a speeding penalty on top of it.
It might be with the spin. As of right now, here's Jeff Schmeier, still your race leader. There's Dennis Fuson having taken his fast repair. So Fuson will get the speed back in that truck. Timothy Bates on pit road right now. Carl Burke in pit road as well. Dustin Burns, Barry Phil, Mark Radker on pit road. And here comes the race leader, Jeff Schmeier, onto pit road as well. Kyle McCartney stays out. He will get the bonus point for leading a lap. And behind him is Ryan Steele, the driver of the number 12.
Bentley Glazer's the pit road. He's in this box for a long time as well.
That has to be speeding on entry for Bentley Glazer. Here he is up to 35 seconds in his box. You see down there, look at 22nd, well, what was 22nd place. And yet Glazer still sat in pit road. This has to be a 40-second speeding penalty. There's no way.
It has to be.
There he goes. I mean, I had this
And just like
problem.
that,
Watch, there's David Weaver in the 16 went off into the grass behind him.
my goodness, it's all kicking off right now.
Yeah, and this is what happens on the pit cycles around here. You get these old tires, now you're on fresh tires, you feel like Superman. And David Weaver now finally getting back on track. So as we cycle this through here, Ryan Steele is currently the leader of this race. There is Ryan Steele. Steele has not come into pit road yet. So right now it's Steele, Fleet, Torres, Kelman, Campbell, Moore. Those are the guys that have not come into pit road just yet. And Steele might have been trying to get into pit road there, but Bob Beltrami on the new tires blocked him out.
So there's two ways you can look at this. You can look at this as if he's throwing his race away, and there's no way he can, even be remotely competitive. Or he's going as long as possible so he has the freshest tires throughout his stint. So I'm going to go with he's doing the second option here, because I don't believe he just want to throw away his race. But the thing is, though, is that this looks at the moment like it is a two-stop race.
Yeah, it is looking that way as here comes Kyle McCartney on fresh tires behind him. The problem with this now is, barring a speeding penalty, he is losing a load of time, not just to the race leader, but to the guys he was racing. The guys that are coming up to pass him right now, Marty Ray, Hollifield, those are guys he was racing with on track. They're about to unlap themselves from him. They're going to be a good 10 to 15 seconds up the road when he comes out of pit road now.
Yeah, now this is the point where I'm starting to not see why he wouldn't just come in. You're watching people fly by you and disappear. I'm not seeing why you wouldn't just pit here.
Jeff Schmeier, Adrian Moore, I believe, is the second car that has not come into pit yet, and he is, as I say that, he is in pit road right now. So it is Ryan Steele is the only driver yet to pit here. And if you look at the lap times, a 33.3 for Ryan Steele. Compare that to a 30.9 for, let's flip that around the other way, a 30.9. He's 2.5 seconds clear as now Ryan Steele comes into pit road. Or I thought he had. No, he's still out.
He's got to be hoping for a yellow. That's like the only reason why you'd even still be out there.
Yeah, you're right. That is his only saving grace at the moment, is hoping for that caution flag.
He's coming in, so it's all for naught.
Let's see, yep, there he is on pit road. You see him right there at the right-hand portion of your screen. Here he is, Ryan Steele, into pit road. So he was able to make it 49 laps on this tank of fuel and on these tires. The problem with that is he's still 17 laps short of making this on one stop.
Everybody's got to make one stop. That's mandatory from here. Nobody has a two stop. Everyone's got a one stop. So as a mental, just doing the mental calculations in my head, I'm not understanding why he'd stayed out there. But I'm not him. I don't, I'm not in the race, so I can't really say that might come out to be a really good decision.
And that's a long time, and he's lost a lot of track position. Ryan Steele now currently, there he is coming out on track right now, is 24 seconds off the race lead. Now, to put that into perspective, when the pit cycle started, he was roughly 5 seconds behind. So he lost 20 seconds by deciding to stay out an extra 7 laps.
The only way that's justifiable for Ryan is if he can make up those 20 seconds in roughly 40 laps, or 30 laps even. And I don't think he can make up that much time in that little distance. So, yeah, I think he's going to research. If he looks back at this race, that's where he'll say, okay, we need to do better for next time.
can see the pit stop lap for some of these guys. Jeff Schmeier stayed out the longest, lap 42. Hollingsworth, lap 40. Beltrami came in on lap 39. It's not showing, but Kyle McCartney came in on lap 43, and Ron Holifield came in with Hollingsworth on lap 40. So those are the the pit laps for the drivers that currently occupy the top 5 positions. Meanwhile, the man we've been talking about here, Ryan Steele, came in on lap 49. So he has between 7 and 10 lap fresher tires than most anybody in front of him.
Oh, there's one in the grass on the travel here.
Let's see who that is.
That's Earl Weaver.
Yep, here's the replay. There's Earl Weaver sitting in the grass. Try to see what happened here to him. Lucas McNeil is in that as well. Let's back it up a little bit further, shall we? Just keep going back.
We shall.
Wow, he took a hard hit to the right front, did Lucas McNeil, as Weaver was spinning off the wall in the quad oval. McNeil's going to have to pit to fix that. There's no way around it now. Oh, the caution is out.
And just think, the caution's out. He's not in that position if he doesn't spin the car on pit road, get a speeding penalty, and is that far back in the field. Like, if he just didn't make that mistake,
I don't think it was
McNeil was the cause of the yellow, but
it wasn't McNeil that got the penalty. It was Glazer, I think, that had gotten the penalty.
Okay, so it's my bad on that one, but
let's take a look here. Where is our friend Lucas McNeil? There he is on track in the 51, currently being scored in the 31st position. So maybe you're right. Maybe he did have a speeding penalty. He did have a speeding penalty, 56 seconds in his box. So you were right. I was wrong.
Ooh, I'll take it.
I'll take it, he says. As we take a look down pit road here at the, 7, 8 guys that are on the lead lap pitting right now. Bob Beltrami, the first of the bunch. And Hollingsworth, you saw Hollingsworth, he's down and away. And it looks like Beltrami is going to get a nice little jump here as well, as fortunately, boy, iRacing's not being kind tonight with what we can and can't see, unfortunately. So some of the leaders decided to pit, others did not. And to your point, though, that is the caution flag that this man, Ryan Steele, needed. It might be coming a couple laps too late, but Steele still has rather comparable tires to the drivers that just came in, and well better than anybody around him.
Yeah, he's going to cycle out to what? Roughly, if I math this correctly here, I think he might cycle to 3rd. I will like them to go past the start-finish line to verify that, but
he's in 6th position right now.
Okay. Oh, he's at a net, -1 position, and than what he originally was, but he's better than what he would have been if he pitted with everybody else, though. So you can look at it as a win or a loss. It really depends on how you look at the situation.
Of the drivers in front and behind him immediately, Schmeier pit lap 42, Ray lap 40, Kevin Thrift, who we haven't spoken about much in that 66 Valvoline Chevrolet, came in on lap 40, Wayne Hutchinson 42, Thomas Mole 39, then it's Steele who came in on lap 49, David Wood came in on lap 38, Raphael Reynolds came in on lap 39, Carl Burke lap 40, and then it's the drivers who came into pit. So he, at best, has 11 lap fresher tires than some of the guys around him. At worst, 7 lap fresher tires than the drivers around him. As we get set to go, green flag racing once again here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. There is your leader, Jeff Schmeier. in the number 32 Vortex Toyota. As the lap cars cycle their way towards the back, there is Marty Ray on the outside of row 1. Kevin Thrift and Wayne Hutchinson will make up row 2 on this restart. Thomas Mole and Ryan Steele will make up row 3. David Wood and Raphael Reynolds in row 4, and then it's the fresh tires. Carl Burke in 9th, and then it's the fresh tires. Jeff Hollingsworth, Bob Beltrami, Kyle McCartney, Ron Holofield. So there is going to be speed here, and one of the things that you do have to remember, tire spin on old tires on restarts is very real here.
Yeah, I accidentally keyed at the wrong button, so I didn't get to talk there. But anyway, yeah, there's all these guys in the top 9. They have to watch their throttle input here. This is the one restart that they could absolutely spin the car and cause a massive accident.
So this is going to be one of the key restarts here with tires spread all throughout the field. Jeff Schmeier holds them down, gets a clean getaway, does the driver of the 32. Looks like everybody gets a clean getaway. And we are back to racing here at Atlanta, working lap 59 of 117. Schmeier shot out of a cannon.
Cleaner than I thought. I honestly thought there'd be a lot more wheel spin throughout the field and there'd be more checkups. So I'm actually pleasantly surprised to see how clean and efficient that was.
Yeah, these are good guys. This right here, the battle is between second and the 4th position right now. Marty Ray and Wayne Hutchinson on the outside. Kevin Thrift and Ryan Steele on the inside. Jeff Hollingsworth and Ryan Holofield already. Those guys started back in 10th and 11th position on this restart. They are already up to 6th and 7th. Those guys absolutely flying on this restart.
Fresh tires are king, and you're seeing a prime example of it. It's Steele, who has old but new tires, is doing just as well as Hollingsworth getting through this pack.
As Ryan Steele now moves his way into the 3rd position. The inside line is all cars that came in under this caution flag and Ryan Steele. The outside line are drivers that have not come into pit during the caution. And Ryan Steele now moves his way into 2nd. So staying out that long has really helped Ryan Steele.
Frank, just ignore any strategy calls I had the rest of the day, because that just proved me wrong. It proved me wrong. I'll give him credit.
We broadcast because we can't do. And for you, that's a very different. And for you specifically, though, that's very different because, again, the Sim Racers Edge champion this past season. But that's why I'm up here, is because I can't do this as well as these guys do it. As there goes Ryan Steele for the race lead. What we expected after this restart. Jeff Hollingsworth right behind him. Kyle McCartney in the 8, showing a lot of speed, stuffing it in under Jeff Schmeier.
Yeah, these guys did an incredible job getting tires fired up here. I'm surprised that some of these guys didn't. The guys that stayed out, how they didn't quite get up to speed as well as I thought they would.
I believe there is a tire limit here in this series, Nate. If you'd be so kind to check that for me.
4.
So that could also be a reason why these guys did not come into pit, as Jeff Hollingsworth goes for the race lead and gets it. Kyle McCartney, however, dumping it to the inside. McCartney wants the lead in that number 8 iRacing Toyota. He's really going to have to fight Hollingsworth, though. We know how difficult it is to pass Hollingsworth, and he gets that slingshot off the outside line, has the momentum build up. Also has Ryan Steele out there pushing him, but right now McCartney holding strong on that inside lane.
I've raced with Jeff in Indy cars. I've raced Jeff in trucks, and if there's not one person I'd like to see in front of me, it's definitely Jeff. And it's not because he drives, aggressive. It's just because he's so hard to pass, and he's fair about it. Though he's not, changing lanes all the time. He's so fair and clinical with his defense. So if there's a guy that can hold the lead, it's definitely Jeff.
And Hollingsworth switching, doing a little up and under on Kyle McCartney. Lets McCartney take the lead going out of turn 2, then takes it going through 3 and 4. Hollingsworth would have won the race at the line right there. And still McCartney not holding back on that outside line. Ryan Steele, though, with these guys having 7 lap older tires than him, 7 lap fresher tires, than him around him, he's holding his own right here. Steele still holding it up there in third position.
It was critical for Jeff, Kyle, and Bob to get through this pack because as I'm looking through the lap chart here, some of the guys that stayed out during that yellow, they're doing quite well for themselves. Jeff Scheimer is doing well. Wayne Hutchinson, Marty Ray, they're hanging in the top 10. Normally, that wouldn't be the case. So they're doing really well, actually, with the worn tires. And that's why I think Ryan is doing such a good job hanging up there with Jeff and Kyle.
Now, the guy that just passed Jeff Schmeier in the 32, that is Lucas McNeil. McNeil right now is currently sitting the first car not on the lead lap in the 26th position. So Lucas McNeil has the lucky dog spot as it sits right now after this incident that we'll show you here in just a second that brought out the caution. As still trying to work my way up through this long list here. Things that have happened here tonight. This is what happened to Lucas McNeil that brought out the caution. Again, this is after having had the incident. That looks as that's not. Oh boy. I think Lucas, unless he was directed to do so, that might be something that I probably just got him in trouble for, honestly. Because as you saw there, he just slowed down and stopped on the back straightaway. And again, unless he was directed to do that, that might be something that series officials might take a look at.
Frank is the all-knowing supervisor here. He's catching everybody out.
Yeah, that was not intentional. Again, what I see is what you guys on the broadcast see. So I get no preview as to what I'm seeing. So
that is interesting.
Yeah, that was the first time I saw that. And hello, Legendary Blaze in chat there. Thank you very much for the comments on the broadcast there. Mark McFadden, we appreciate it every single week. Looking through right now, trying to find some enjoyment here on the Facebook chat. Facebook chat seems a little quiet here. But right now, thank you guys again. I say it at the beginning and the end of every single broadcast. Thank you guys so much for making us a part of your evenings. It really does mean a lot to us, and it's a lot of fun for us to do this. And now working with Nate. Nate, when was the last time you were in the booth for ESPN prior to the last 5 days?
Like months and months ago? I really don't know.
Yeah,
does interviews count? If interviews count, then it's pretty recent.
No, interviews don't count.
Oh man, I can't tell you that.
I've been with ESPN since July, and I don't think you've done a broadcast at least since then. So, and just think these last 5 days we've been working together, and it's clicked rather well, rather quick, and I've been having a lot of fun calling races with you. So much fun, in fact, that we're going to be a regular team on Friday nights.
Yeah, looking forward to it. I've always liked announcing, playing with, I did once upon a time have a set of NASCAR flags that I'd fly around in the room and I'd start commentating about races and I'd do my thing. And now I get to do it here in real life. So it's kind of cool, I must admit.
It certainly is. It's not that bad a gig. You watch a bunch of great racing, you talk about it, you laugh, you cry, you heartache and all the other emotions. Not a bad gig on a Tuesday night. It's 11:15 Eastern time.
It's only 10 here. Ain't too bad of a night. There's nothing going on TV anyway.
Yeah, well, exactly. It's a Tuesday night. What the heck is on? TV on Tuesday night? We're working lap 75 of 117. There you see the battle for the lead between Jeff Hollingsworth, Kyle McCartney, and Bob Beltrami. Ryan Steele has fallen off of this group by a full second and a half. As we start now lap 76 of 117, we will take a quick commercial break, and we will be right back for the end of round number 3 for the Western States Racing League right here on ESPN. Don't go anywhere. Tonight's broadcast of the Western States Racing League is sponsored by DiecastNuts.com. Post your own diecast collection, add or trade to it in the shop, and see other members' collections at DiecastNuts.com and on Facebook at DiecastNuts. And by Rocket Racing Setups. Rocket Racing Setups is one of the leading setup builders for the iRacing community. Find dirt and asphalt setups, tuning guides, fuel sheets, and much more at RocketRacingSetups.com today. Watching high above the Atlanta Motor Speedway right now, that is the battle for the race lead. The car at the very top of your screen is Jeff Hollingsworth, who is your race leader. The 2 in the middle of your screen, that's the 8 of Kyle McCartney, and Bob Beltrami currently sitting in the 3rd position. Working lap 82, about to start lap 83. And Nate, green flag pit stops should be coming up here fairly soon.
Yeah, we're thinking lap 85 to 90 is when we're going to start seeing the people that didn't get the chance to pit or chose not to pit under our 1 yellow flag so far. We're thinking that's about when they're going to peel off and pit here. And maybe the people that pitted under yellow maybe slightly later, but like we kind of said with Ryan at the beginning of towards the end of that stint, how much time you can lose. They can't afford to lose time. As I've watched for about 5 laps here, Jeff Hollingsworth is the most loose vehicle on the track, I think, at the moment.
And right now, there you see in pit road right now is Jeff Schmeier. Remember, he led this race at the restart. As still this battle for third raging on. Also behind them is the battle for the 5th position. This is between Brian Barnes and Ryan Holofield. As Barnes and Holofield continue to just slowly work around the drivers that they are coming up on, as I believe that's Mark McFadden in the 48, that they are getting around and lapping. But this right here is the battle for the 4th position. The battle for the 4th position is Ryan Steele is right ahead of these guys, and Steele is not that far away from making a pit stop either in the 12, having come in on lap 49.
Yeah, I think some of these guys that pitted lap 40, like Kevin Thrift, they're going to be one of the first ones to go ahead and pit. As like we said, we're starting to see green flag pit stops start at the moment. But I really start to think maybe Ryan just should pit here, make everyone use their hands. Because if Ryan pits here, and let's just say the top 3 don't pit for 4 laps, Ryan could have a really good chance of coming out as leader.
Yeah, that's short pit now. You got to know when to short pit. You also got to know when to long pit, and that long pit worked out incredibly well for Ryan Steele, and now he could work the short, but he can try to undercut these guys and force them into pit road. It's not something that's too rare here. If one of those guys in the top 3 sees another one of the drivers that they've been racing against come into pit, that is a strategy he could play. He could draw guys to pit in earlier than they want to.
I honestly would expect it either out of Ryan or either Bob or Kyle here at the front pack. I think either of these guys, if they pit here, because it looks like Bob's getting held up a little bit by Kyle, if he just goes ahead and pit, maybe gets a little bit of a gap. Those 2 don't pit, like I said, for 2 to 3 laps. He could be 2 to 3 seconds in the lead very well, very easily. And like we've seen, we've only had 1 yellow so far for a 2-car incident. It wouldn't be too surprising for this race to go green the rest of the way.
Might be a decent time for Steele. He just lost that 4th position, and Ryan Holofield is deciding to short pit. He is coming in now in that number 7, try to get it down. Dennis Fuson coming in right behind him. So the 7 and the 11 are both in. That is also Timothy Bates in the 24, who is stopped down on pit road. Bob Beltrami now. We'll see what these guys do to respond. They have to make a decision here coming up fairly soon as to whether or not they want to try to cover those guys off. And I think Ryan Steele is making that decision now. Steele coming in.
Smart from him. He knew he had to use it when he could. He's pitting because he knows he's just going to lose time. He learned his lesson, I think, from that first time. Now he's just using the opposite way. And I'm interested to see if Jeff, Kyle, or Bob, they pit this lap.
Oh, he overshot the box. Ryan Steele had to back up a little bit behind him. That's Kevin Thrift in the 00. Marty Ray. I'm sorry, in the 66, my bad. Marty Ray in the 65 is in the box as well. Meanwhile, the top 3 decide to stay out. Brian Barnes, same thing, deciding to stay out here, thinking that they've still got a little bit more life in their tires, and they do. They came in under the caution flag. Last pit on lap 55. And right now on lap 91 of 117, they can still go a little bit more.
They can go absolutely a little bit more. But the issue there's 2 ways that these guys could do it. They could pit here, cover off the people that are short pitting, and run their pace the rest of the way. Or they can do the route that we saw Steele do at the beginning of this run, go 50 laps from when they pit. So let's just say that gets them the lap, 105 to 107. They have a 10-lap sprint to the end. They could put barely any fuel in, save about 10 seconds that way, and come back out. So there's lots of different strategies you could use here. It'll be interesting to see who decides which strategy to use.
Top 3 deciding to stay in. And before we really get into these pit stops, as you see, they're starting to mix themselves around here. As you're watching the top 3 battle here, Jeff Hollingsworth, your race leader, the 8 of Kyle McCartney in second, the 14 of Bob Beltrami in third. And oh boy, the 8 of McCartney almost got spun around by the 3 of Paul Hoffman, who's on fresh tires. Leader Hollingsworth in.
And now it's almost, you got to pit. If you're Kyle or Bob, you have to pit this lap because you will lose time to Jeff if you do not pit here.
Yep, Brian Barnes coming in, sliding behind him. So you're right. I think that's what you have to do. You got to try to cover off that move as Beltrami swings well low. McCartney allows Hoffman by. As McCartney will see what he does. McCartney stays out. Beltrami comes in. So right now, Bob Beltrami, there he is onto pit road. Brian Barnes on the way out. Jeff Hollingsworth on the way out. So McCartney right now might be trying to play that long game. As we take a look at Ryan Steele here, he's gotten out ahead of Brian Barnes, who is one of the drivers he was chasing right now on the back of Jeff Schmeier and Hollifield.
And he's going to pass Jeff if he can get by these two here.
That would be a move for the race lead as Hollifield has taken the effective race lead away from Jeff Hollingsworth. And what a gaggle of cars coming through turns 3 and 4 here. They are almost 4 wide going through the quad oval. For the effective race lead, it's Ryan Steele and Ron Hollifield running effective 1-2 right now. Steele takes the effective race lead. Hollingsworth not willing to give it up. And the caution is out.
There's a big wreck at pit end.
See, it looks like the 85 of Eric Woods has some front end damage. There he is sitting on pit road. We'll try to see what happened here. We'll see Earl Weaver. Boy, Weaver's really down there. Weaver drills the commitment cone, and Weaver, boy, just puts it nose in.
Oh, I don't know if you can see it, but Jeffrey Scholes, Jeffrey Scholes has got extreme damage on his truck. It might be him that was the cause of the yellow.
Well, there is Jeffrey Schloss. You're 100% right. I don't think Schloss was coming into pit road. I think he was. We'll see what happens here. He's racing with Lucas McNeil, or at least we thought he was. Let's see where he is. Oh, there's Jeffrey Schloss right there. Let's go back again here. See again. We'll try to find what happened here. Unfortunately, it's not letting us see. I don't think it's going to pick it up, unfortunately. And yep, nope, he's already gone and around.
Yep.
By the time we pick it up. So caution out for the second time here tonight. As Ryan,
this race is a lot different than we started at.
Yeah, it certainly is. As there's Bob Beltrami. Beltrami came out. He was just in front of the effective race leaders. However, he was a lap down, so he just took his wave around now to get back onto the lead lap. And I think right now, with the way the pit stop cycled out, Kyle McCartney is your race leader at the moment.
But he got a penalty because he's dropping back.
Yeah, he did, but but it might not be so bad because Charles Woods, Bob Beltrami, and Kyle McCartney are the only 3 drivers that are on the lead lap right now. Everybody else is going to be forced to take a wave around.
If there's a time to ever get a penalty, it was that, because Kyle's only going to lose 2 positions out of this. So Charlie Woods is the effective race leader at this moment.
And Beltrami's coming in to top off and take tires again.
Pit stop for him. That's smart to do that.
So that would have been lucky dog for Bob Beltrami and not a wave around, because if it were a wave around, he would not be allowed to do this. So as it sits right now, prior to all these wave arounds that are going to be taking place, only Charles Woods and Kyle McCartney are on the lead lap at the moment, and that is because Charles Woods has not pit yet. Last time Charles Woods
pitted under
was
yellow
back on lap 55.
Well, I believe, I might be wrong, but I believe both of them pit under yellow. Both Charles Lee and Kyle did.
Well, that I could also be wrong as well because this.
I don't know why you wouldn't pit.
Well,
so
no,
that's
we
what I'm
saw.
thinking we did.
Well, we saw Brian Barnes come into pit, and it's still showing that he came in on lap 55. So SDK has been known to be temperamental this way. So these guys will not be. Again, here's Ryan Steele in the number 12. These guys again are all about to get wave arounds, and there they go on the wave around. And while these guys are coming around the racetrack, we would like to remind you that coming up for the remainder of the week here on ESPN tomorrow night, Nate, you will be featured in a special event for the Sim Racers Edge Alpha Series. We're doing a 50-50 special event at Indianapolis, a 100-lap event tomorrow night. Same time as normal for Sim Racers
They're
Edge.
wrecking under yellow. They're wrecking under yellow. Lucas McNeil just hit the back of Raphael Reynolds. Well, this is a major. What's going on here?
They might need to cancel this restart then, because half the field still hasn't caught up. I can't imagine.
The lights are off on the pace
here. They are going to go green. Wow. Half the field still isn't caught up. Green flag is in the air.
Oh, my goodness.
Wow.
This is a
gift
to Charlie Wood?
It absolutely is. Charles Woods right now is in front of this whole pack. Woods is 2 seconds clear of Kyle McCartney, who's stuck behind all these guys.
Wow, I don't think I've ever seen iRacing do it like that, though. Like, I don't understand how that could have happened.
Now, there are a couple of things I would have to assume.
I think I got... So, the reason why was Kyle had that penalty, correct?
I believe so, yes.
All those guys were between Charlie and Kyle. Kyle had to drop back. Bob pitted. So that's why that field was all shuffled around, I think.
Now, there are several ways that I can think of. That's one of them. Those guys didn't come through to take their wave around in time before iRacing queued up that everyone should be in their order. That's number 2. Number 3 would be there is a way for the host of the room, as I believe Adrian Moore is having an issue in the back. Yep, there's the 18 off track. So we will stay green with that accident being off the racing surface. There is a way for the host of the room, though, to extend the caution by 1 lap. And I'm surprised with how spread out everybody was, clearly having not gotten caught up, that did not happen.
I think there's one individual who doesn't mind, and that's Charlie.
Yeah, Charles Woods right now currently leading this race. He's only got a half a second now on Kyle McCartney, as there he is. Coming up behind them, another 1.5 seconds back, is Jeff Hollingsworth, who I'm sure is going to be one of those guys who is less than entertained by what just happened under this caution. Bob Beltrami is there as well. Then you have to go all the way back 3 seconds to find the 5th place man, Ryan Steele.
There won't be a whole lot of happy campers, but I can tell you there's at least going to be a couple happy campers about that.
Oh, of course, the guys that benefit from it are always going to be happy, and that's where Woods is.
That's how life works, though.
Oh yeah, exactly. That's Adrian Moore getting a little loose in front of the race leader now, Charles Woods. As we come now to 11 laps to go, the faster car of Kyle McCartney here, who has been the faster car all night long, is going to take the race lead, and for the most part is only going to have to fend off Charles Woods in the 40 unless another caution does come out here with 11 laps to go.
Possible, very well possible that might be the case. I don't think Charlie's just given up yet, though.
Yeah, no, he's not playing dead. Don't send him any flowers yet. As Woods goes to the inside of McCartney, McCartney's going to have that run on the outside lane, as you had mentioned, Nate, but the outside really has not proven to be the best line to run here tonight.
It's not, and all this is doing is letting Hollingsworth just close in on this battle here, along with Beltrami.
Yep, that was a 1.6 second gap when we had first picked them up. It has now gone down to 1.3. So those two, if they can get around that lap traffic of McNeil, and I believe you said that was the 30 of Raphael Reynolds, it is in front of them, they could be pretty golden. But with 9 laps to go right now, Charles Woods still is not giving it up. Woods back to the race lead.
He's Charlie. He races an SRE. He's no slouch when it comes to racing his racecraft. So he's showing off his skills. Go Charlie.
We'll give you another chance here to plug that SRE event, but that caution flag just completely messed that up. As we have 8 laps to go, coming to the start-finish line. Right now it is Charles Woods and Kyle McCartney racing for the win. Jeff Hollingsworth and Bob Beltrami currently sitting 3rd and 4th. Those are the only other 2 guys that really have a shot at this, as there you see McCartney going for it again on the bottom of the number 40 of Woods, side by side going into turn 3.
I don't think either of these guys want to give an inch to each other
This
at
is a
all.
race win. This is a race win. You ain't giving an inch to nobody at this point. And one guy who could play a factor in this, if he really wanted to, is the driver behind them, currently sitting 1 lap down. That's the 66 of Kevin Thrift, who could throw a monkey wrench into this.
Absolutely could. I don't know if I would if I was in his shoes, just because I wouldn't want to be the guy that messes with the lead battle with 6 laps to go. But to each their own. Everyone's different.
So at least you have my mentality on things, as now McCartney goes and takes that race lead. 6 laps to go here, as it appears as though it's sort of leveling out. It's going to be a battle between Kyle McCartney and Charles Woods here for the end of this race. Only 1.2 seconds separates Hollingsworth and Beltrami from those front 2. Those guys have only managed to gain about a 10th over the course of the last 3 laps. It is a 2-horse race up at the front.
Yeah, their tire advantage that they had is gone. Hollingsworth and Beltrami, they had a little bit of an advantage, and it's just not gone their way. Just the way that the field just reset itself has not done any favors.
Oh, there goes
McCartney's
in the wall!
McCartney's in the wall!
That was Earl Weaver in the 46 that was trying to get out of the way, didn't realize that McCartney was going to the outside. And for McCartney, it looks as though he doesn't have nearly as much damage as he probably should. And that puts the 40 of Woods back in the lead.
I'm a steal a DW quote. Oh, they're wrecking in the back now.
Might be. I think it's Lucas McNeil. Oh, there's the 30s in that as well. Well, we'll try to get a look at that, as Earl Weaver's slow in the back there too. But right now, with 4 laps to go, the battle is up front here. Charles Woods currently leading Kyle McCartney, who had about a half a second lead before that incident.
I was going to say, I'm going to steal a DW quote. Have you ever? No, I've never.
Yeah, that's pretty much how this has gone. 3 laps to go. McCartney, that just goes to show how much lag was involved in that wreck. He's still fighting with McCartney. It was still with Woods. He has a chance here.
He got 3 laps to go. He's got to try everything he can to get by Woods, but we've seen how important that bottom lane is. If he can get underneath of him, he's got a shot.
And Woods is taking a wide arc going into the corners, and you can see that's leaving him with the bottom on corner exit.
Protect that bottom,
McCartney
buddy.
can't get down there. 2 laps to go as we go into turn 1. And Hollingsworth and Beltrami, through all of that effort and what happened up there, they didn't gain an inch on those guys. Still 1.1 seconds back.
That's incredible how they didn't even gain anything. And look at McCarthy. He's way slow.
Yep, McCartney's now way out of it. He might have a blown right front tire with the tire rub. Yep, McCartney's coming into pit road. White flag is out. 1 lap to go. Oh, and I'm sure McCartney's going to be less than entertained with Earl Weaver at the moment. But what a wild final 15 laps we have seen for round 3 of the Western States Racing League at Atlanta Motor Speedway. A bungled up restart gave Charles Woods and McCartney an advantage, and Charles Woods is going to come across the line. He will win round 3 of the Western States Racing League at Atlanta.
Great, have you ever?
No, I've never.
Ah, that was an incredible race in there. That was awesome.
I mean, that was... What a finish. I mean, that was...
I'm almost lost for words.
Yeah, I'm failing to think of any as well. I know one man who's certainly not at a loss for words, and that's this man, Charles Woods. And we will get a word with him, Hollingsworth, and Beltrami here momentarily. But boy, oh boy, what a night we have seen here. I mean, and this opportunity for Charles Woods, all created because of that unique, I guess is the only way you can politically correctly describe it, restart.
Politically correct, yeah, that's I will have to kind of understand maybe from the league staff what happened on that restart to cause the way it was shuffled out the way it was, but if there's anyone who's not going to complain, I think it's Charlie.
Yeah, no, the one that's in victory lane certainly does not have much to complain about. As just waiting on the top 3. And just as the guys now do the traditional burn down, I mean, what a night we have seen as the final results tick across the top. 2 streaks broken tonight, unfortunately for both. Bentley Glazer coming home in the 19th position, up down after a speeding penalty on the first pit stop. He is no longer 2 for 2 as far as race wins. And Ryan Steele currently is no longer 2 for 2 in second place finishes with a 5th place finish here tonight.
Not second place, but when you consider the points, I don't think Ryan's going to be too disappointed. 5th is still a top 5, and yeah, especially with how strong of a season. What is that? He's averaging like a 3.4 finish rate at this point. So I don't think he should be too disappointed.
Something roughly to that effect, as Ryan Steele, you're seeing him circulate the track right now. He is going to be your points leader after tonight. He was only 4 points behind Bentley Glazer, and should be the points leader. And I'm not sure if we are going to get the race winner here tonight, Charles Woods. It does not, unfortunately, does not appear as though that will be the case. My goodness, watch out. Instead, we will go, Nate, I think you will take over the first interview tonight. And that will be with somebody you know quite well. That is one Mr. Jeff Hollingsworth.
Absolutely, Jeff. It's Nato here in the ESBN booth. You got a copy?
Hey Nate, what's happening?
Oh, not much. Just watched an incredible race. You guys put on a heck of a show tonight. You led a lot of laps. It seemed like at the second half of that race, you were the guy. You were the guy to beat, and it looked like it was all going to fall your way. And then that second yellow happened. Tell us what first off what your thoughts were when that yellow happened, and second, what were your thoughts with that restart and how everything was out of order.
The when that caution came out, I had planned it because I knew the guys that stayed out were going to have to pit soon, so I was going to try to get on the same cycle as them, so we all had the same tire, you know. And yeah, when that caution came out, that went out the window, and then like you said, it was all messed up the whole thing, and then some of the guys just didn't get it going to get the wave around. So by the time we come off four, I was still in third gear, and it said green, green, green. I just went on the outside and just left them.
Yeah, and it's incredible racing throughout the night. We saw you start not very at the front. You started in what was that, the 10th or 11th place tonight, and you worked your way forward pretty efficiently in that first stint. How important was the tire wear? We know Atlanta's a really difficult track for that.
Yeah, that starting 11th, that first stint, I drove it wrong and abused my tires. So, and I'm I was able to pass some other guys, I guess, that did the same thing. But at the beginning, I don't know if you guys saw it, but I was coming off a two, headed toward the inside wall, and saved it, and went back to, I don't know, in the 15th or something like that, and then just kind of drove up through there and just kind of figured out how to drive the track with the throttle, because tires everything at Atlanta. But a lot of good racing. Everybody I raced around, it was good and clean and courteous, and that's the kind of stuff I like.
Absolutely, and we stay here on the East Coast, just going up the interstate to the north here to Richmond. It's a way different track than Atlanta, but what's your thoughts as we go there next week?
Always liked Atlanta. It's just weird updates and whatnot, and seeing how this truck feels and how it reacts. It was uh, aero was everything. I mean, tonight I was doing fine, and then I would come up on a lap car or something, and the front end would just shove, and then it would snap, and so Richmond's going to be tricky. It's off of four, it gets real tricky. In the Cup car, I haven't been in a truck there in a little while, so I'm not sure, but I'm sure it'll be good, and it's going to be fun, and we got a big fields like this and good driving. I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely. Well, it was a privilege to have the broadcast tonight. It was a privilege to watch you, Jeff, and the rest of the field run tonight. So thank you for that. Congratulations on your second place finish here tonight as well.
Thanks, man. Just shout out. You guys know Charlie Woods is my boy over at OGR, old guys rule, and he got the strategies going tonight, and that he won the race, and my boy Ryan coming in fourth, and then we got Tim hanging out with us now, and he's having fun, and look forward to racing with them again. But thanks for the broadcast. Thanks a lot to Bob Beltrami for putting this on for many years. We were just talking. I was a member of this league back when they were running in 2K3, I think. So I mean, he's been around a while. This was a 1700th race, so hats to him. So y'all take care, be safe, and thanks for everything.
I'm still the super sub, so I'm still trying to make sure I get all these procedures right. So thank you, though, Jeff, and you have a great rest of your night.
Check. Y'all take care.
Thank you.
It was such a crazy night. I hardly even remember that far back. That was the craziest race I've been in a long time, especially with the way things got shuffled out there at the end. Man, that was nuts. My difficulty was that I had two sets of different tires on the right and left. So I was wrestling with that as we got down right to the end of this thing. Well, you know that honestly, the thing about this race and these trucks and the setup that we're using is I was having as much difficulty just keeping my own truck under me as I was keeping up with guys like Bentley and Jeff Hollingsworth and them. And it was a really severe challenge. And there was a point in that first run where I really just had lost kind of the handle of it, and guys were just passing me. I was wondering what the heck I was going to do.
Yeah, and by the way, just to break off the interview for a second, thank you to Sam Cooper Bennett for letting me know my mic was not on. So the first the first question was about the restart, the final restart, obviously, and the second one was about some of the battles you had tonight. Your third question of the evening, typically, is looking forward to next week. Now, next week we run our first short track, our first genuine short track of the season in Richmond, Virginia next week. What are your thoughts going into Richmond Raceway next weekend?
Oh boy. Richmond's one of those tracks with the WSRL where we either really put on a great show or it's not so great. And I knock on wood as I say this because I don't want to jinx this, but things have been good lately. Tonight was a fabulous race, and we only had the 3 cautions, was
I
it?
think two.
And
Two.
so, holy cow! That, and to me, it's seriously hats off to the guys who are in the league right now because it takes everybody both racing hard and at the same time trying to cooperate to get things all worked out and to let a race like the one that we saw tonight evolve. And you got a bunch of great racers in this league. I'm really happy about it.
Yeah, you certainly should be. You're right that old DW term co-opetition has really played king here these first 3 races of the season. Anybody you want to thank before we let you go and celebrate your second podium finish of the year?
As always, I would first and foremost thank my wife Trish, who's patient with me in my sim racing hobby, and she lets me do this deal and has let me do it with the WSRL for decades now. So I'm really appreciating that a lot. Thank you, honey.
All right, so there is your third place finisher here tonight, Mr. Bob Beltrami. Bob, congratulations and enjoy the podium.
Thanks, fellas. You guys have a great night.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You as well. And Nate, this brings to an end what was a very wild night here at Atlanta. We saw a lot of great racing all throughout the field here tonight. A couple of long green flag runs. We saw some pitch strategy both succeed and fail. We had that one unique event that seems to happen in every single race. Tonight, we had a full slate here tonight.
I've done 3 races. I sound like a broken record by this point, but this race had everything. I mean, we had strategies, we had multiple groove racing, we had feel good stories, heartbreaks, whole 9 yards, and turns out, how competitive it was all night long. We saw guys that ran at the front at the very beginning of this race make mistakes and it shuffled the whole field, and we saw people that started this race at the back move their way forward. The cream rose to the top tonight.
It certainly did. And we'll take a look at the results here for tonight's round 3 race for season 44. Charles Woods takes his first win of the season. Jeff Hollingsworth and Bob Beltrami, you heard from those two, round out the podium. Ron Hollifield comes home in the 4th position. Ryan Steele coming home 5th. Brian Barnes 6th. Dennis Fuson 7th. Marty Ray, who we talked about, needed a good race. This is his first top 10 finish of the season. Hadn't finished higher than 21st this season. So good night for Marty Ray. Good points night to get himself back up. Wayne Hutchinson coming home in the 9th position. Carl Burke, after that incident with Dennis Fuson on lap 1. Fuson finishing 7th. Carl Burke finishing, rounding out the top 10. So great recovery drives for those two. Wayne Fleet coming home in 11th. David Wood finishes the last car on the lead lap in the 12th position. Kyle McCartney, we saw what happened to him with 5 laps to go. Blew a tire with 2 laps to go. Finishes the first car 1 lap down in the 13th position. Kevin Thrift coming home in 14th. Thomas Mole Jr. in 15th. Jeff Schmeier comes home in 16th. Bentley Glazer, who was the pole sitter, led for the first stint of the race, had the pit road speeding penalty, comes home in the 17th position. Paul Hoffman comes home in 18th. 19th going to Eric Woods, and 20th going to Keith Kellman.
And Lucas McNeil, finished the race in 21st. One of the nights to probably forget for him. James Campbell, he came home in 22nd. Mark McFadden, he came home in 23rd position. Barry Phil, 24th tonight. Dustin Burns, he came home in the 25th spot. Dan Stuzzi, he rounded it in 26th position. David Weaver came home in the 27th spot. Mark Rediker came home 3 laps down in 28th. Raphael Reynolds, we saw almost at the end of that second caution, had a little incident there. He came home in 29th. Javier Torres, he came home in the 30th position. Adrian Moore, we saw him towards the front there and talked about him a little bit tonight. He came home in 31st spot. Christopher Cowgill, we saw him in pit road a good chunk of the race. He came home in 32nd position. Timothy Bates, a couple issues on pit road. He came home 4 laps down in the 33rd position. Earl Weaver in the 34th spot. Jeffrey Schools, he came home 22 laps down in the 35th position. And the last driver never mind, he's not the last driver. Gary Lavayette, he came home 103 laps down in 36th. And Dustin Webb, he came home in 37th position.
And if you see there in the YouTube chat right now, Dustin Webb saying that his computer went down after qualifying. That is why he did not participate in the race here this evening. So really quick before we wrap it up, we'll give you the rest of the schedule for this week. Sim Racers Edge coming up tomorrow night, a special event, a 50-50 race. And Nate, you should be taking part in that if everyone else wants a chance to win, if they might put you in the booth. But Indianapolis, could you explain a little bit? We'll go more in depth with it tomorrow night on the broadcast, but what is the plan for tomorrow night's 50-50 race?
It's really just a 100-lap race around Indianapolis. The purse is split 50-50. 50% is, of course, going to the top 5 and who finishes there. It's percentage-wise to that. And then 50% goes to league costs. So, the league broadcast, league sessions, we do a lot of practice sessions over at SRE to help our drivers out. And really, it's our off season. Our season starts up. Our season 2 starts on February 3rd at Pocono. And it's really just a fun event to keep everyone fresh. We want people to have a little bit of rest in between the seasons, but we want to keep them fresh. So we're really looking forward to tonight. We've been working on our setups for quite a while, and I think it should be a great time tomorrow night. I still don't even know if I'm racing or not, to be honest with you. So I might race, I might broadcast. I'm not even sure yet.
See, and that just goes to show you have not been in broadcasting for too long, because you're supposed to say that other 50% goes to some charity or something. You got to make it sound
it goes
good.
to a really good cause. How about that?
See, there you go. You never say it goes to covering costs. You say it goes to charity. Then on Thursday night, it'll be the USRA Cup Series at Auto Club. One of the last times we're going to see Auto Club, unfortunately. With NASCAR taking it off the schedule. It's a fun track. It's the only track I've ever seen a live race at is Auto Club. That was Jeff Gordon's last race in 2015. They will be at Auto Club on Thursday night, 7:50 p.m. Eastern Time. On Friday night, Nate and I will for certain be back in the booth for the second round of the iRacing East Super Speedway Series at Talladega. And then on Sunday night, it will be the Chris Cup Sim Racing Series at the Nashville Fairgrounds. That'll be the first time we show the Nashville Fairgrounds on ESPN as well. So that should be a fun night on Sunday. Expect Sam Cooper Bennett in the booth for that one. So we thank you all very much for making us a part of your evening. We thank our sponsors, DiecastNuts.com and RocketRacingSetups.com as well. We thank the league for allowing us to do this. I thank Nate for helping me out tonight, kind of a last-minute call-up. So with that, for my broadcast partner, Nate Siefker, I am Frank Marchese. Thank you so much for making us a part of your evening. Have a fantastic night.